You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of truth. A dimension of freedom. A dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
Welcome to the show, everybody, and thank you, Robert Naser, for your comment here. Did they get along? Can they work together? Or is one jealous of the other? Reason and reality get along perfectly, sir. But I think that you know that. I'm getting a note from Persephone about 2 questions on the website that I can talk about. But first thing, let's talk about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is on 60 Minutes the other day. And according to CNN, and I know a lot of people have a problem with CNN, I get that. But according to CNN, Trump told at least 18 falsehoods during his interview. I asked Grok if it were true. Grok seems to agree with CNN. Of course, see, this is the problem, and we're going to come across this problem with another story that we get to later on. When somebody tells so many lies, like Trump does, all the time, to chase each one down and to try to find if he's telling the truth, you'll just spend all your time doing that. Like, you'll have no other time, nothing else to do. And he knows that, so he just constantly pumps it out there, constantly tells fictions. So amongst the lies that it's claimed that he told is he said that grocery prices are down. According to this, that's not true. They're up. He says there's no inflation. Actually, inflation is at 3%. He says that $17 trillion is being invested in the U.S. right now. The fictional figure, this figure is nearly double the White House's own wildly inflated number that they already put out there. He says that each, and I've heard him say this, and the math doesn't make sense, but he says each drug boat that's coming into the country kills 25,000 Americans. He says that recent former presidents invoked the Insurrection Act 28 times. The most it's ever been done was 6 by Ulysses S. Grant. Trump's claim that ends 8 wars isn't true. It's not true that Biden gave Ukraine $350 billion. It's not true that foreign countries pay his tariffs. I don't want to go through them all. The point is that this guy is not a truth teller. He's a liar, and he did so on TV. And I've talked about it for one because it's a story. It was on the news. He was on 60 Minutes. It was also in CNN, and it's been on X. And I just feel like it's like a war of attrition, where if he and his followers, and anybody really, but he happens to be the president, can get away with continually lying. If you get to the point where you're just like, ugh, I'm exasperated. I just can't deal with this stuff any longer. I can't deal with it. I don't want to challenge his unconstitutional actions. I don't want to challenge his lies. I can't take it anymore. Then they win, and that's how they win. The bad guys, of course. So that's why I think it's necessary to discuss it, but also because that very principle, the principle that if people can just put enough crap out there, it sort of stultifies the opponent or beats the opponent into attrition. And I think about that same thing when it comes to, for instance, I just think about conspiracy theories, right? I think I've told this story right here before, but I'll tell it again. Somebody I've known for probably 34 years once told me that I think it was the same company, he said BlackRock, owns both Fox News and Dominion voting machines, that the lawsuit was just a ruse, that it's BS. So I Googled it. And when I Googled it, it says, no, this is a myth that's out there. It's not true. So I went back to him. I said, look, I Googled it. It says not true. He says, no. You have to go to DuckDuckGo. He said, because Google is no good. Okay. So I go to DuckDuckGo. I get the same answer. All the sources say the same thing. No, this is a myth. It's out there, but it's not true. He says, no, you have to keep digging. And that's the thing. When people just continually make claims, if you have to keep digging and keep looking and keep going, you're never going to get to the end. And that's how they get away with it. And it makes it such a difficult thing to fight. I once heard Sam Harris say, he was talking about a proposition that he debates Steve Bannon. And he said, no, I'm not going to debate Steve Bannon. And he said, and I'll tell you why. He says, suppose I'm in a debate with Steve Bannon. And he says, well, what about the 18,000 votes that were found in the parking lot in Maricopa County? He says, now, he could very well be making it up, as I just did. That's what he said. And I simply can't in real time fact check every lie he's going to tell. And that is the problem. So now to get to Tucker Carlson. Now, Dave Smith is calling Tucker Carlson great. I'm going to actually have a debate with somebody next week about whether Tucker Carlson is a net positive and whether Pat Buchanan has been vindicated in his views. And for me, it's very simple. You have to state your standard. What are you talking about? You call somebody great. You say someone's a net positive. What is your standard? For me, individual human life is the standard of morality. That which helps human life to flourish is the good. And that which doesn't is the bad. The means by which human beings flourish is through the use of reason, and the exercise of reason requires freedom. So now I would look to somebody like Tucker Carlson. So this is off the bat. He's an irrationalist, and he is very big on faith. So he makes claims, for instance, like he did on Joe Rogan, that nobody believes in evolution anymore. Well, that's just empirically false. Scientists overwhelmingly believe in evolution. It's just not true what he said. I can give away my debate strategy because I'm right. It doesn't matter. It's not about just winning a debate. I could post down my entire argument and it can't be refuted because I'm correct. And the thing is, so he says evolution isn't true. He then goes on to talk about how demons are flying around the country. He then talks about in another time, how the demons attacked him in the night. Over and over again, I'm listening to him today with Dave Smith, and he's talking about over and over again how he's a man of faith. He's a man of faith. He's a Christian. It's the Christian religion. A Christian. So right off the bat, he's telling you that his standard is not life, right? It's a mystic fantasy, and the means by which he gains knowledge is not reason. With that said, he cannot be a net positive. It can't be so. It's not, the two don't go together. A circle cannot be squared. So, but beyond that, when you think about the claims like Tucker Carlson or Daryl Cooper or Dave Smith and the claims that they make. So, for instance, they say, well, Winston Churchill is the true villain, and then they go through 30 things that Winston Churchill allegedly did. All the top Churchill historians came out and said, no, Daryl Cooper's full of shit. This isn't true. This isn't correct. But if I just defer to them, then I'm told, well, you're following the experts. That's argument from authority. But I don't have the time to do all the research that I can do on Winston Churchill. And when you combine that with all the claims about Israel, right, the funding in AIPAC and this and that, I simply can't do it. How many people are killed? Today, Tucker Carlson, for instance, says Israel deliberately bombed Christian churches and refused to apologize. That's just another thing. So I don't have time to look it up. One thing he claimed today that I did have time to look up. He says at the 9-minute mark, slightly before in his discussion with Dave Smith, that it is the position of the Israeli government that anyone related to a terrorist is guilty. That they believe in blood guilt. So I did have time to look this up, and no, it's not true. Tucker is misrepresenting the position of the Israeli government. Of course, Dave didn't question him because he likes what Tucker's saying, so he just sits there and nods. But the point is, that's something I did have the time to do a quick look up. But when people make claims over and over and over again that are just false, there's no way you can research them all, which is why reputation is important, right? When a person has told a few, as Leonard Peikoff called them, whoppers, that's enough. I don't trust them anymore as a source. I'm sorry. When you say that demons are flying around the country, that evolution, everybody knows it's false, I don't have to listen. I don't have to trust you any longer. Because even if you happen to say something correct, it's probably an accident. It's probably completely arbitrary, right? As I kept listening to this interview with Dave Smith, they talked about how people are really blowing out of proportion the idea of Nazis, right? That there's not this Nazi uprising in America. People, the anti-Semitism, this is all being blown way out of proportion. In the same interview, around 31:32, no, sorry, I don't have this actually marked, so you'd have to listen to the whole thing, but it's there. He says, the middle class has died. Your neighbors don't speak English and everyone's on drugs. This from the guy who 2 minutes before said it's hyperbole to say anti-Semitism is on the rise, right? Also, this guy claims that he cares about the American people. 31:32, that's the 31:32. He says he cares about the fate of his own country. They do a lot of talking about how anti-violence they are, and that's why they're opposing Israel, right? It's because of all the violence, and their taxpayer dollars are going to it. So I did a quick search, and I said, has either Dave Smith or Tucker Carlson come out against the continual bombing of alleged drug traffickers? That, of course, is being done with their tax dollars. It's unconstitutional, and it's unprovoked. Lo and behold, no, they don't seem to be that concerned about that. They're not talking about that. Are they concerned that Donald Trump is deploying the National Guard? No, they haven't discussed that either, according to my search. Now, if someone finds it, I'll gladly say, look, I was wrong, because this gets to my point, is I don't have the time to chase down everything these guys have ever said, right? I can only go by what's public, what's readily available. So, oh boy, we have this in the audience. Okay, so they're not too concerned about the military being deployed in America, the Guard being deployed in America. They haven't commented on ICE and what ICE has done, spraying people with mace, arresting people that are American citizens or otherwise innocent people. They don't talk about that. So is it really violence that you're concerned with? Or is it something else? And, I'm not one of these people that just throws terms out there. They say, oh, this guy's anti-Semitic because he opposes Israel, right? And the main foil of their disagreement are these other conservatives, because evidently there's a big beef within MAGA right now. And I've seen a lot of this online. And, there was an article in Axios this morning about how... what the hell was I going to say? Big article in Axios this morning about this split in MAGA, the fight for MAGA's future, especially after the death of Charlie Kirk. So on one side, we have the Ted Cruzes and the Lindsey Grahams and the Mark Levins. And on the other side, we have the Candace Owens and the Dave Smiths and Tucker Carlson. Now, I can't stand any of them. As far as I'm concerned, Ted Cruz, Mark Levin, and who's the other one I mentioned? Ted Cruz, Mark Levin, and Lindsey Graham are responsible for this. They're responsible for the rise of people like Candace Owens and Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson. Why? Because 9 years ago, they had a chance to take a stand against Trump and his lies. And for 9 years, they've defended him. For 9 years, they've kissed his ass. For 9 years, they've normalized everything that he does, from lying about COVID to lying about the election being stolen from him to 18 lies he told the other night. They just keep defending him. So when you normalize that, when you elevate factors above truth, don't be surprised when grifters take over your movement. Don't be surprised when conspiracy theorists are on the rise. You can't do it. You had the chance, people. Senator Cruz, Senator Graham, Mark Levin, you all have had the chance. You've all had a voice, and you all have stayed silent in the face of his lies and otherwise evil behavior. And now you're upset that these other folks are doing the same thing. but they just happen to have a different position to you on Israel. So now your credibility's shot. I'm sorry. But the idea too, now Tucker and Dave keep pointing out that their opponents, all of their opponents, people only oppose them because they're for peace. Right? It's just that everybody that opposes them are violent people. We're all for violence. It's not the lies that we're opposed to. It's not the grifting we're opposed to. It's not the distortions and the moral inversions we're opposed to. No. We're opposed to them because they're for peace. Now, in this same thing, now this all arose, by the way. So Tucker Carlson interviewed Nick Fuentes recently. Nick Fuentes is I don't know if Nazi would be the right word, but it probably would. But he's definitely an anti-Semite, definitely a bigot, definitely just an overall asshole, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. I want to address I like numbers in a second. So can you bookmark that comment for me, Persephone, about their credibility isn't shot? Right? Okay. So the thing is, I oppose Tucker Carlson and I oppose Dave Smith and I oppose Candace Owens because they are not honest. They're not telling the truth. They, for instance, attack their opponents with stuff like this. Tucker Carlson. Okay, I was talking about the Nick Fuentes interview. So they do this Nick Fuentes interview, and it was somewhat softballish, from what I understand. I haven't watched it, but that's the general consensus, that it was softballish, that he didn't go after this guy. And from when Dave and Tucker were discussing it, although they claimed that no, he did challenge him, their example of him challenging him wasn't really a challenge. It was just basically Tucker says, no, I'm a Christian. I can't hate people, which he said numerous times. It's against his religion to hate people during this interview with Dave. He then goes on to say about the people who are challenging him, the Christian. He's over and over and over again told us how he's a Christian. And he also, by the way, they say, well, Tucker can't be anti-Semitic. He can't be anti-Jewish because he says he's not anti-Jewish. And I'm thinking like, what? He says it, so that means it's not true? Forget about everything else he says and does? The fact that he is saying that I'm not anti-Semitic means he isn't? So he says that the people that oppose him, this Christian now, this very Christian guy, he says the people that are opposing him are weak. They are in a possible position politically or financially or sexually. Now, of course, there's no evidence presented for that claim. There's no specific people pointed out. It's just these people, and I know them well, he says. Right? So now, of course, any individual person could go to him and say, hey, you talking about me? No, I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about this guy over here. It happened to me one time in prison. We were all out working, and I was the only white guy out there, and I was the smallest guy out there, and the only guy out there who couldn't fight. And some guys were in their cell, and they were heard bad-mouthing the guys who were out working. So a couple guys went to the guy's cell and said to him, what'd you just say, dude? And he said, no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the white guy over there. Really? There's 8 guys out working, and the one guy that you're saying shouldn't be is the white guy? That's who you're complaining about? Or is it you're just trying to deny something you obviously met, which is what I'm guessing that Tucker would do if he were approached on this, because he doesn't name names. He doesn't name the people that are in a possible position politically. He doesn't name the people who are in an impossible position financially or sexually. He just throws it out there. Now, there's people, I don't know how you don't get that this is a grift, or, I mean, if his stupid laughing that he does or his voice squealing that he does isn't a tell, the fact that he doesn't name names and he just throws accusations without proof should be a tell. So I'm really hoping that people start to see this. Now, somebody up here says their credibility isn't shot because conservatives have responded to people like Lyin against Fuentes. Yes, there's some people within the movement, the broadly right-wing movement, who are already there and already agree with their take. Their credibility is shot, what I'm saying, is with honest people that are paying attention. If you're an honest person that pays attention to how they've behaved over the last 9 years, their credibility is shot. If you're somebody who likes what they have to say, isn't very curious, doesn't pay attention, or is overall MAGA, yeah, you're agreeing with them, of course. That's not what I'm talking about when I say their credibility is shot. Now, what is Race Jacobson saying here? Something about leftists. We got a lot in the chat that I don't really know about. I don't know what's going on because I've been focused like a laser on talking about this because I think it's overall important. I once heard, I think it was Chuck Todd say that we're in a post-truth era. And I've heard a lot of leftists complain about the post-truth era. The problem is, aren't they the ones in the colleges who told us reality is just perception, truth is subjective, there can be no morality? Isn't that what's been taught? Am I wrong that that's been taught? Aren't they the postmodernists? Aren't they the critical theorists? I mean, so the fact that then they complain when someone like Trump comes on the scene, again, it's a credibility issue. You can't speak about how there's no truth and then get mad at someone who lies. I'm sorry. I mean, you could do it, but not credibly so. So that's my take on for now on the Trump lies, the Tucker Carlson situation with Nick the Dick over there, Fuentes. Yeah, I called him a name because he's a jerk. I generally don't like to call names. If I'm in a healthy debate with someone, I don't call him a name. But this guy's an asshole. Let's just keep it real, as we say in the big house. What is wrong with changing your views over time? This is from Angela's Real 3. What is wrong with changing your views over time based on facts that are happening in the real world? Nothing at all. I think that's exactly what somebody should do. I would like for you to tell me who's done that amongst the people that I mentioned. Trump certainly hasn't come out and said that he knows that he was wrong, ever. I don't recall Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, or Mark Levin coming out and saying, you know what, we were wrong about Trump this whole time. They don't do that. So I really like to know, Angela, who has changed, or angels are real is what this says. Okay. Maybe we have a Tucker fan here, but I want to know who's done it. Who's changed their view over time? That's what I would really like to know. And hasn't done it for profit. Just claim to for profit. Right? Because I remember Tucker Carlson, once he was the bow-tied conservative, right? Then he was the libertarian at Cato. Then he was at Fox, and he was sort of the MAGA guy. So, I mean, he used to criticize Pat Buchanan a lot. Nothing's wrong. If Tucker has honestly changed his mind, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know that he has. I mean, I know there's some things where he said he has, but it seems to coalesce right around the points where it's in his financial interest to do so. At least that's what I've seen. I haven't followed him closely. It seems to be the case. But if Tucker Carlson says, let's just take one thing he said. No one believes in evolution anymore. Now, I understand. Yeah, he did change his mind on Iraq 20 years ago. That's true. He did. So did I, by the way. So if he says that no one believes in evolution, and I believe he said even scientists, but if you say no one, it's implying most people. I get it's not literal, right? But it's not true. It's not true. I don't know if you could actually find a scientist that doesn't believe in evolution, a biologist anyway. I mean, you could probably find some crank somewhere, but evolution is so obviously true that I don't even know how it's a debate any longer, except for people like Carlson. If he's going to make that, now that's a demonstrably false thing that has nothing to do with faith, nothing to do with religious belief. But then you're going to make claims about being attacked by demons and angels flying around. But as it's been said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, not the word of somebody who says nobody believes in evolution any longer. So on today's show, he says that it's the position of the Israeli government that anyone related to a terrorist is guilty. That's blood guilt. He says Israelis don't see, he said the Israeli government does not view people as individuals. They are not pro-Western. That is BS. It's not true. That's not their position. So either he's got a serious credibility issue where he just doesn't understand how to sift through facts, or he's a liar. When he comes out and he says that he's a Christian and he doesn't hate anybody and he's just for peace and everybody's just as against him because he's for peace, right? Well, then why are you, he goes through this whole thing. He and Dave, by the way, over and over again, somebody doesn't have an audience, they lack talent, that type of thing. And then you're saying these people are in a possible position. Basically, he's saying that they're compromised politically, financially, or sexually. I'm sorry, that just doesn't jive with I'm a Christian who just wants to be nice to everybody. It's just not true. Right? So when you have Tucker Carlson defending Donald Trump incessantly on the air, but then in emails and texts saying horrible things about him, his credibility is in question. That's not a matter of just changing his opinion. It's really, really not. What is Ray's Jacobson? As much as we've punked on Harriman, I don't know if I've punked on Harriman. I disagree with him and I'd like to debate him. I don't really know about punking him. But maybe you're up to something, Race, that I don't know about. I don't know. Persephone looks just, she's so interested. Normally it's my looks and my charm she's paying attention to. But today she's enamored with my talk. You can just see it. She's just like, it's very cool. Very nice. But let me find another story. Oh, Dick Cheney. What about this? Dick Cheney died. Dick Cheney, the 40th, he was the vice president to the 43rd president. I don't know what number vice president he was. But, yeah, Dick Cheney died. This is one of the guys, of course, what was the big neocon. I used to really like Dick Cheney. Thought he was a really smart guy. I thought he did very well in his debates against both Joe Lieberman and what's his name? John Edward there. But ultimately, Dick Cheney, in my view, is responsible in a lot of ways for the rise of the imperial executive, the rise of executive power. So, on net, I think he was a negative for the country. He also said deficits don't matter after conservatives had been touting about, complaining about deficits for quite some time. He said they don't matter. Reagan proved that. So I certainly have some issues with him. I don't think that justifies all this celebratory nonsense that I see. I don't know about all that, but there's people that are out there trolling his daughter now, making fun of him, that sort of thing. Who's texting me here? Oh no. Okay, he texted me about remember the aforementioned conspiracy guy who wanted me to keep digging on DuckDuckGo. I just got a text about some wacky thing that he's posted. So yeah, Dick Cheney died. I'm interested. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on Dick Cheney? No. All right. Well, let me move on. Let me see what else we got in the in my list on my phone that we can talk about. Oh, this is sick. This is sick. ICE, this is they want to implement a no refuse face scanner to test if you're an illegal immigrant. They come and they scan your face and find out if you're illegal. And you can't refuse. Now, of course, look at this, Lysander Spooner. Lysander Spooner, great thinker. I absolutely recommend Lysander Spooner's work. The Constitution of No Authority, great arguments, great essay, very, very bright guy. I think Randy Barnett did a very good job of refuting much of Lysander Spooner's writings, but I still love Lysander Spooner, always will. He also wrote on jury nullification. Very, very good guy. He had some issue with the post office. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was great. But ICE, they want to scan your face. Now, here's the thing. If you're a citizen, they can't know that ahead of time. So that means we're all susceptible to this. Are people really okay with this? Face scanning? Face scanning? Yes, the Halliburton stuff. Yeah. But this is an article from Reason Magazine from Jacob R. Schwartz. Very good article. I'm going to share it right now. But the idea that government agents are going to be scanning your face to see who you are and to see if you're legal in the country, and that's going to, of course, give them, data or data, I don't know which one it is, about you, that is terrible. That is not a good thing. That's another... The thing that conservatives and libertarians used to know this, and a lot seemingly have forgotten it, that once you open the crack in the door to government policy, it doesn't stay cracked. It gets barged wide open. So, you get a small tax, the tax grows. You get a small regulation, the regulation grows. They used to know this, but it's become inverted because of things like immigration. So when you tout, yes, we need relatively open borders, we need to be pro-immigration if we're pro-freedom, they say, no, you can't have that if you have the welfare state. But what we used to say was there should be no welfare state. Now they don't make that argument. They argue for encroachments on liberty as if those encroachments are going to stay isolated to the people that they want. But it turns out, there's been stories of ICE macing people, arresting American citizens. All that type of stuff is out there. You can go check it. But now they want to scan your freaking face. Again, an escalation. It always escalates. It never goes backwards. So, I can, I guess, bitch about this till I'm blue in the face. But people need to wake up. People need to start caring. Stop letting the government intrude on their liberties. Stop wanting the government to intrude on the liberties of others. We need to respect freedom, individual rights. We need to get back to the standard that I talked about earlier. Life, flourishing, rationality, individual rights. Come on, let's do all this. I never watched Generation Kill, but she's talking to DWD. Down with Diego? All right. So let's see what else we got. What do you think? Face scans for everyone? Did you see the new police drones they're deploying in police departments all over, and flock cameras are everywhere? I did not see it. I believe it. I don't like it. Oh, here's something interesting. Trump, evidently they're claiming, and there's a lot of legal rigmarole in here. This is another good article in Reason from Jacob Sullum, who I've interviewed a couple times. Really smart guy, good guy. Trump says that his armed conflict with drug traffickers does not involve hostilities. Now, the reason he's arguing that it doesn't involve hostilities is because a lot of them are drone attacks, that sort of thing. It's also coming up on, even if you, since September 2nd was the first time, I guess, that they launched these attacks. They have 60 days by law, once they get into hostilities, to go to Congress for approval. I think that's even unconstitutional crap. Congress is given the responsibility of declaring war. Unless we're under attack, then the president can respond in emergencies. But offensive actions against drug traffickers, no, that's war. That needs a declaration from Congress. Sorry. But even if we allow for the idea that no, this law is good, the War Powers Act, 60 days, he's trying to circumvent that by saying, no, it's not hostilities. It's not hostilities. Words have no meaning. Like I'm freaking Humpty Dumpty. Words are exactly, what I say they mean. I guess he'd be the Humpty Dumpty in this scenario, but you get my point. So, armed hostilities or no armed hostilities when they're bombing drug boats? What do you think? Just curious. Of course, we have his say-so for that they're even carrying drugs or that they are cartel members. And as we've seen previously, his track record with the truth isn't exactly great, so I'm highly skeptical, to say the least. Now, let's see what else we got. We got that. Here's some, here's the Israeli government. This is from the Morning Dispatch. The Israeli Parliament's National Security Committee advanced a bill on Monday to permit death sentences for convicted murderers motivated by racism or hostility toward the public against Israel or Israeli citizens. The bill was passed shortly after retired Brigadier General Gal Hirsch, the government's coordinator for the hostages taken by Hamas, told the legislators that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu supported the bill. I'm really not in favor of this. These are thought crimes. Like, I don't care the reason. If you're murdering somebody, That if you want, I'm against the death penalty. But if you think that murderers deserve the death penalty, then just before the death penalty for murderers, don't make special clauses. In America we have hate crimes, and I've always been opposed to that. I've always thought they were hate crimes. I remember when George W. Bush was asked about hate crimes in the 2000 election, where they were talking about these guys. They dragged a black guy behind a pickup truck. And George W. Bush said, they're already getting the maximum penalty. Why do we need an extra thing called hate crimes? Why do we need thought crimes? And so I'm opposed to that. Opposed to the Israeli government doing that. I don't think it's a good idea. I get their intention. I get that they want to fight against bigotry and they want to fight against the anti-Jew, mentality of the people on their borders and the people that want to hurt them. But I just don't think it's a good idea. Who thinks that's a good idea? People are becoming more desensitized to killing. It's everyday news. I hope that's not true. Unless you mean that people are becoming more desensitized to the news. I think maybe that's what you meant. Not that they're more willing to kill. That's how I first interpreted it. I think I'm wrong there. Okay, I don't want that. Donald Trump is endorsing Andrew Cuomo. Says that the people should go out and vote for Cuomo. I don't know. Speaking of desensitized, I am so desensitized to all the scumbags in politics. It's just like, I don't like, what do I care? You pick one over the other. They're all scumbags. It doesn't, God, it turns my stomach. Whatever. Speaking of the Donald, his approval rating fell to a new second-term low, according to CNN polling. He has a 37% approval rating, which is just 1 point higher than at the same time during his first term in 2017. Meanwhile, 67% of Democrats are extremely motivated to vote in next year's midterms, compared to 46% of Republicans, according to the poll. Now, Persephone says rigged, and of course she's right that's what Trump's go-to is. I'm not a big believer in snapshot polls myself. Whatever. They're transitory. It changes so much. Yes, voters deserve the politicians who get elected, except for the voters who don't vote for them. Then we just get screwed. So there's that. That does kind of suck. But the thing with Trump is if CNN came out with a poll that said Trump had a 70% approval rating, he'd be touting it from here to Timbuktu, right? But when you get a poll that goes against them, it's all rigged, it's all fake, it's fake news. So, but that's what the poll said. I don't know. I really don't know what's happening, in this country. I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very down about the political situation, to say the very least. So Persephone said she had a couple questions. Maybe she could tell me what they are. And we can Diego, I hear that's actually not true, that you really don't like when they vote on that. That's the word on the street anyway. Persephone, you put the questions in? Persephone nods with this very cute nod like this. It's very, very cute with her ears. All right. Do I think that advancement in DNA testing is a good argument to abolish mandatory appellate review in death penalty cases, given that the original justification was to safeguard against human error and unreliable evidence? No, I do not, because it's still human beings that are running those tests. It's still human beings that are transporting those tests. And we have a situation here in Connecticut where guys spent 30 years in jail because of bad DNA evidence. It was ketchup or something, and they claimed it was blood. What's his name? Oh, God. Henry Lee. Henry Lee was on the case. So, no, I'm not for that. I'm against the death penalty anyway. So, but even if I were for it, hypothetically, I think that you really need to have this stuff looked at repeatedly. You're talking about life and death. You're going to take someone's life. You better damn well be certain. So appeal it, present your DNA evidence, let people challenge it. I think that's the best way to go. Nicole Hingle says, are any of you familiar with the fiscal proposal penny plan? I am. Sean Hannity used to tout this frequently, the penny plan, the penny plan, the penny plan for reducing debt. He said Donald Trump was receptive to the penny plan. That, of course, was before Trump ran up the debt by $7 trillion, and he's running it up some more now. I don't know if Hannity still talks about the penny plan because I stopped listening to him long ago once I realized that he was planning on having his lips permanently surgically attached to the orange derriere of Trump. So I stopped listening to him. So I don't know if he still touts it. I don't know if that's even a smart way to go about it because it's a universal type of thing. It just goes to everything equally. I'm a big fan of cutting. I'm a big fan of radical cuts, but I'm also a fan of doing it smartly. Partly because if you do it in a bad way, the people who are harmed by the bad way are going to come out against it. They're going to look like they're suffering. It's going to drum up a lot of news. And then you're going to, end up having to roll back your cuts anyway. So I don't know. I've heard of the penny plan, but I'm skeptical. Deeper with Diego says, wasn't there a case some years ago about some lady doing DNA tests for 20 plus years and they were all invalidated because she was motivated by ideology? I don't know. I haven't heard that. It wouldn't surprise me. Really nothing concerning human beings would surprise me. So there's that. What do you want to talk about now? Because I've ran through my stories. I can't believe I went through them that quickly. Maybe I should have brought some more. I had like 10. In the degree to which I run my mouth, I would have thought it would have taken up more time than this. But it didn't. Persephone says an internal investigation found that this woman engaged in intentional conduct to delete, alter, and omit data in official records. Oh, today is voting day. So there's signs everywhere. I guess voting signs have an effect, but I don't know. Like, have you ever driven down the street and saw a voting sign and have it change your vote? Or if somebody, you get the "We support the police" signs and you're like, up until now, I've really hated the cops. But since I saw that sign, my entire, worldview on this thing is going to change. Like, I just don't think it works that way. Maybe you want to make people aware of the candidate, or maybe in the case of the cops, you just want to, take a stand, let people know who you stand for. I guess that's cool. I have no real issue with it, especially because my boss is a retired police officer running for office with both political signs and "I support the cop" signs in his yard. So we don't want to upset my boss. He's a great, great guy. And I hope he's running for office, and I hope he wins today. He's running for office in Wethersfield, Connecticut. So anybody from Wethersfield, Connecticut, get out there and vote for Tom Pentelow. So we're supposed to talk about something positive. Persephone, are there any positive stories out there? Oh, you know what I watched last night for the first time? Hangover. The movie The Hangover. Have you ever seen it, Persephone? All right, we're bringing you on. What's your beef with the movie The Hangover? You look pissed when I even mentioned it. Like this thing
because you're
stole
like,
your sandwich.
You're like, I watched The Hangover, but then you also said that you watched Boondock Saints and you didn't like it.
No, Boondock Saints was just not very good. It wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is a horrible movie. I just was like, it's okay. Mulholland Drive sucked. No, it was horrible. It was terrible. Mulholland Drive sucked. Anybody that wants to debate me on Mulholland Drive, I'll have a special show and we can debate that because that movie objectively sucked.
I mean, yes, but at least there's a reason that it sucked. And it wasn't just like,
yes, but Boondock Saints was just a very unrealistic movie. And I'm not opposed to unrealistic movies. In general, I like Star Trek. It's unrealistic. This, I wasn't buying it. I guess I wasn't buying the characters.
It's not realistic at all.
But you could still buy the characters. I bought Luke Skywalker. I buy Luke Skywalker. I buy Han Solo. Captain Kirk. Come on. These jabronis, I didn't really buy it, but it was okay. I mean, it wasn't a horrible movie. It was decent.
It's like one of my favorite movies ever.
Boondock Saints?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me why. Why is it?
I would not be able to quantify why. It's just one of those movies that I just really enjoyed. Also, when the Italian dude, he goes, "I killed your cat, you junkie bitch," after they shoot the cat by accident. That was just funny. Don't put me on the spot.
Oh
It's
my
an awful-
God, you should have never said that on stream.
It's like a 25-year-old movie, and it happens.
Okay. What about The Hangover?
That's my thoughts about The Hangover. It was funny.
That's it.
That's,
I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I thought the characters were degenerates, but it was funny. It was very unrealistic as well, but it was entertaining. It made me laugh, so I liked it.
Yes.
I like to laugh. I think laughter is good.
Yes. I agree with you. I can't debate you on whether laughter is good. Laughter is great.
I'm going to need you to contribute just a little bit more to the discussion, Persephone. You can't just sit around and get by on your looks all the time.
Did you know that on the website you can buy stickers?
I did not know that. I know it now. Oh my God. You know what I forgot to do? This show is in no way affiliated with the American Capitalist Party, which I am the vice chairman, and our sometimes co-host Mark Pellegrino is the chairman. So we're in no way affiliated with that party. We need you to like, share, and subscribe to this show. Share it from YouTube to your favorite social media platforms, and check out the website, which Persephone is going to tell you all about right now. And look how pretty she is while doing it. You got to check it out.
It's thecapitalistcorner.org, where you can find episodes. You can submit your questions for Friday, and there's blogs and there's merch. And you can also check out the Capitalist Corner on Patreon, where they do extra discussions and extra Q&As, etc. There was a good question from James that I think you should answer.
James Valiant?
Yes, James Valiant. James Valiant asked...
Hold on one second. I got to ask a question. For wrestling fans in the audience, has anybody ever heard of the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, the wrestler? Because I just realized that James Valiant shared a name with the Boogie Woogie Man. I am considering calling Jim Valiant the Boogie Woogie Man from now on. But go ahead. What did the Boogie Woogie Man have to ask?
So James Valiant wanted to know, can a net negative to liberty ever still be preferable to a much worse net negative?
I would say yeah. Hypothetically, sure, because you're not going as fast. I mean, so if somebody was like, I'm either going to kick you in the shin or cut your foot off, they're both net negatives, but I'm taking the kick in the shin, right?
Yeah.
That, by the way, is not the positive thought of the day, is not kick me in the shin.
Race says...
No, not the bogey, not like a boogie man. Boogie, like dancing, boogie woogie man.
When you say boogie woogie, it sounds like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. Also a great movie.
No. You're not going to conflate the Boogie Woogie Man, Jim Valiant, with some children's cartoon. I'm sorry. I'm not going to allow that. You want to do some positive stuff, Persephone? You want to talk about some positive things?
I have no positive thoughts in my brain at the moment.
Well, let me say this.
Let's Google some positive news.
Human beings, as Ayn Rand pointed out over and over again, are creatures or beings of volitional consciousness. That means we have the power to direct our minds where we want. We can change the way that we think. And by and large, we can change our attitude and emotions by thinking better thoughts. So if we decide to set goals, if we decide to be better people, if we decide to be happier people, we can alter the way that we think to focus on the good in life. And I'm telling you, most people, we all have good in life. Look at Persephone's smile. Does that not make you smile? Persephone, move your hand and let everyone see your smile, please. Come on.
No, now I'm not going to smile. Now I'm just going to sit here like this.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Can somebody please smile about Persephone's bashfulness? Thoughts become things. That's very Napoleon Hill like. Angels are real. I don't know if you've ever read Think and Grow Rich. I have nothing against Nightmare Before Christmas. I just won't have the great Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant confused with that show. That's all. I've actually never seen it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. We don't know. But the bottom line is, you're never fully dressed without a smile. Yes, there's a lot of good in this world. Look at us here. We all get to gather here every day. We now have Man Sharma has joined the show from India. How can't that be a happy thing? A lot of Man Sharma's friends slandered me recently. I didn't really care for that, but I got over it and I'm okay now. You see, you can get over stuff. You can realize what's important, what's not, and we can be happy. Can't we all just be happy? Remember Rodney King said, can't we all just get along? Can't we all just be happy? I mean, when you think about it, most people, now I'm not saying there aren't things that can make a person suffer beyond belief or beyond what could, allow them to enjoy life. But I would say most of us live lives where we can be happy, where we have plenty to be grateful for, right? I mean, I'm grateful for Persephone. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for the coffee I'm going to have with my buddy at 3:30. I'm thrilled about that. I'll tell you what, I might even throw in a muffin. And if I have a muffin, I'll be happy about that until I regret it when it's done and I feel fat. But other than that, we do have a lot to be grateful for. Man Sharma, when are you going to have me on your show? You came on my show with promises that you'd have me on yours, and I haven't been invited yet. This doesn't seem right. Instead, I get pictures of your cat, which is cute, but, All right, look, if nobody's got any questions, I'm cutting this short because I've been babbling and babbling. What?
Deeper with Diego has a positive thing. Some doctors or scientists did some sort of cornea transplant to help a blind person see. That's amazing.
That is amazing. That's fantastic. Oh, Diego's going to have me on when he's done reading my book. Awesome sauce. I think there's a saying that doesn't get used enough. Awesome sauce.
It does if you're old.
No, I'm bringing back awesome sauce. I'm sorry. But, once I started talking positive, I'll just have you know our viewership has gone down.
They like the fighting. They like the fighting. The negativity. No,
all cultures are not they're not equal. But, my friend Subby started listening to Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand on audiobook, so that's good. Greg Lewis's daughter uses awesome sauce. Robert Nacer says sauceum. And I've got some pretty great news coming up that I'll be telling you about. As soon as I get the okay to share it, I will be sharing it. All right. I guess we're going to wrap up. Are we going to wrap up, Persephone? You know what I meant to ask you? What happened to the out of context Capitalist Corner clips?
I have been extremely busy.
Well,
I have a half edited
half
out of.
Is it half?
One day you're gonna stop mocking my accent. One day.
I doubt that very much.
I've got a half edited clip sitting on my computer.
I love accents. When I go out, if somebody waits on me at a restaurant and they have an accent, I ask, "What accent do you have?"
Apparently, you're not the only person who thought my accent was British. Apparently, my friend's dad also thinks I have a British accent, and I'm very confused by that.
And he's South African, this guy?
No, he's from Jersey, on your side of the world.
You have friends in Jersey?
I have friends all over the States.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Capitalist thought of the day. Life is the standard of moral value. The flourishing life is the life to aim at. Happiness, success, positivity. That's what we should be striving for. To achieve that, we need to think with our minds. We need to be rational. In order to function, reason needs to be free. And it also needs to pursue truth. We need to be focused on what is real, what is true. We do not want to cede the world to the liars, the grifters, the malevolent. We, the benevolent, we, the rational. It is we to whom the future ought to belong, and it will if we continue to fight for it. My question of the day is, let's see. I don't want to do a movie question because I feel we've done a lot of movie questions. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want to do that. Live life with extra sauce, Robert says. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Other than free market oriented books and objectivist books, what is a book that has significantly changed your life? So we're going to exclude the pro-capitalism stuff. We're going to exclude objectivism stuff. I want to know a book that has changed your life. Please go to YouTube, leave the comment. It really, really helps with the algorithm. And we need all the help we can get. We're in a lot of competition. There's a lot of people that are trying to get their ideas out there. I think our ideas are great. I think our personalities are great. And we have Persephone's, and we have you guys. So please go there, leave the comment. What book has helped transform your life? I thank you all for being here. I love you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. And the great Jim Valiant will be with us tomorrow before Mark returns on Thursday. Until then, remember to always check your premises. Peace. We